Yo, what's up guys? Aegis Rick here, and despite my crude thumbnail joke, this patch and the Slayer buffs in them are anything but dumb. However, the players behind them, well, that's another story. Anyway, dude, look, need I say more? Third Awakenings have arrived, and damn, they sure did make an entrance. So, without further ado, let's recap the update brought to us on the 9th of June. Let's go. Alright, let's get it out of the way first. Third Awakenings are amazing, and as the namesake of this update suggests, both the male and the female Slayers are the first to get them. Once you hit level 100, you will get to a very brief scenario to unlock it, and after a cool little cinematic, you will unlock the Third Awakening itself. Doing this will give you three things: one new skill, generally a high cooldown, high damage AoE move, a new passive, which on top of giving your character raw stats, will also massively adjust a couple of your lower level skills for either damage or more likely utility purposes, and of course lastly, your Third Awakening active itself. Needless to say, this is often the mountain crushing, comet diving, delayed slashing, door opening showstopper skill, but I remind everyone that DFO and myself are not in any way affiliated with filthy weeaboo culture. So how do they balance this absurd level of power? Well, they don't, honestly. For now, as could be expected, Third Awakening characters are just flat out gonna be stronger than everyone else. But one caveat that they have is the limitation on their awakening. See, you will not simply have access to all three awakenings. Instead, the Third Awakening must be linked to either your first or second awakening of your choosing. You'll still have access to all three awakenings, but whenever you use an awakening that is linked, the other awakening in the link will essentially share the cooldown duration, effectively meaning that only two can be used at any given time in a dungeon. You might be wondering what's going to happen for the transformation awakenings. Classes like Berserker, Azura, and Weapon Masters have awakenings that give them a temporary buff and then a finishing attack afterwards. In those situations, only the finishing attack will put the linked Third Awakening on cooldown. In the case of Azura and Berserker, it's in fact a prerequisite to be in these transformed states prior to being able to use the Third Awakening itself. So characters like that can technically use all three of their awakenings, albeit at a limited capacity. The release order for Third Awakenings has already been adjusted from the Korean version of the game, but considering the small pool of Third Awakenings currently available in KDNF, it's not like we're that far behind in DFOG. They also have both fighters and male gunner, and everyone else is still in development. Hype news for those classes for sure, but agonizing for those still in line. In fact, there are those of us who probably won't even get a whiff of Third Awakenings for a year at the very least. If you're curious as to the suspected release order in KDNF, I have seen some posts on Reddit accurately predicting the release schedule thus far. But look, torturing yourself in this way may be doing yourself more harm than good. To coincide with the hypeness that is Slayers at the moment, we of course have the Level Up Camp event. An exceptionally good one, I might add, that can not only level up a brand new character with ease, it will also give them a full Legendary 100 set by the end, and a Reinforced 11 or a Refined 6 ticket for your weapon as well. It's insane. Check out the rewards on the event page. Do note, however, that this event status is only for one character on the account, and that character, as you might expect, must be either a male or female Slayer. Of particular note is that this is the first time in the game's history where we've been able to apply the event character status to an existing character instead of a brand new one. However, take caution in doing this because you will not retroactively be rewarded for prizes that you over level. You will receive the prizes only from your current level onwards, so use that in your consideration for your event character. Either way, this is an excellent event for new players because not only will they get a strong Slayer insanely fast due to the leveling event and free gear, but you'll also revel in the overpoweredness that is the Third Awakenings on top of that. You'd be brain dead for not participating in this event if you even had a glimmer of interest in one of the 9 Slayer subclasses. But hey, being brain dead is part of the course for Azura mains anyway, so I'd consider it a head start. We've got an event I can recap in 2 seconds, and that is Syria's weekly gift. Do 5 dungeons for the week and be rewarded with 5 rolls at these items. Aside from maybe the Kaleidos, all of this is damn near useless, so I'm done talking about it. Honey time is back, baby. Well, at least on the weekends. The prizes basically are a bunch of admittedly decent beads for enchantments. Definitely pick yourself up the elemental damage beads if nothing else. You know, every time we get one of these, the community always makes a post saying how much they love it. Of course, I'm talking about another phone game. This time, the Guide of Wisdom Simulator. Last time we had the Tower of Despair phone game where you build up your team and gacha for better units. This time your character will simulate running Guide of Wisdom endlessly. You gear them up in epics that drop to make your character stronger and subsequently more efficient at grinding. You also get fragments that can be used to upgrade your character's inventory and stats as well. Overall, not only is this a fun event where you kind of micromanage, set it up, and forget about it, but it's also giving out some crazy good rewards actually worth talking about. On top of the daily and weekly time guide stones, you also have these right here, personal and account safe expansions. They are insanely good because they upgrade regardless of their current rank, and if you already have a highly upgraded safe, its effect is even more palpable. Upgrading my safe at this point is a $12 value, and trust me when I say they hardly have ever given out this item in the past. Don't miss out on it and the other items that of course have their uses as well. We've got a new package for you filthy furries out there, and unlike the previous Valhalla package, this package does not have very much going for it in terms of useful items, let alone any appealing cosmetics. Yuck! I would have considered blowing this package off completely if it weren't for the one thing that makes, or more accurately breaks, this package: the aura. The previous best in slot was the Dolphin aura of last year, and of course this aura can potentially beat that one by a substantial margin. Notice when I say potentially, because yes, this is another RNG aura, and even among the RNG infested systems of DFO, this aura has an unprecedented level of RNG associated with it. You essentially must roll for good stats twice, once for the aura type itself and once more for the enchantment on it. Now while getting the happiness aura isn't the worst thing in the world, that's only the first step on this process. After you get happiness, you need to then roll for enchantments on it, which vary on all of these potential stats, one of which is the coveted almighty suffix, granting an unheard of 5% all attack damage for aura. Some people like to throw around this term RNG for anything that's luck related, but you've got to remember there is no randomness in the rates or odds at which these things are set. And I'm here to tell you that the odds at which people have gotten this aura is astronomically low, lower than anything we've experienced in this game when it comes to re-rolling. Nightmare stories of people spending 100, 300, even upwards of 700 million without seeing that suffix once. Conker's title was nowhere near this bad. There is definitely more to unpack here, such as the community's immediate backlash and uproar, discussions about Neopal's greed, gambling addictions, self-restraint, etc. So much so that we'll definitely cover the whole fiasco in a later podcast. But suffice to say, I think a simple change must be made when it comes to re-rolling, and that is, the rates of these things should be publicly known. Casinos are pretty upfront about their rates and returns, and if DFO wants to be a casino game, then at the very least, we should know our odds. For those of you now sweating this aura, I still want to mention that the LEA option is, relatively speaking, rather simple to achieve. I'd shoot for this option instead for those of you who are trying to get an amazing aura but aren't prepared to destroy your entire life savings for the absolute best in slot. The LEA option will give you 30 elemental damage total on top of all these other kinds of stats, making it substantially stronger than the previous best in slot. Definitely a worthy investment for your main character at least. And with that, guys, I think I'm going to end it off on that note. Overall, we've got an exciting update with a small stain of this lackluster package. Despite this though, it brought with it the burgeoning of the Third Awakenings, and I'm reliving the same kind of anticipation that I felt all those years back with the Second Awakening. And like then, we just all have to wait with bated breath for our mains to finally be addressed. Until then though, guys, I will catch you knights later.